Hello and welcome to Bite Me, the Buffy podcast, where I go through Buffy with my good friend, Mr. Joe Ford. Joe, how you doing?
I'm glad you said with your good friend Joe Ford. For a second, I thought you were just going to say, "I go through Buffy episode by." I was like, "Hey, what about me?"
If I'm honest,
I've,
the intro got away from me a little bit there.
I've been coping with floods running through my house for the past week, so to talk about Buffy for an hour with you is an absolute treasure. I'll say.
And what's interesting is we get a Noah reference in the episode we're going to
We
be talking about, and you
do,
had a flood.
yes. So, well, hang on. What's next week's?
Angel.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm going to have Darla turn up at my house with a machine gun every week. It's going to be something terrible that's happening in that Buffy episode. Oh well, I can handle it. And to answer your question, I am thrilled to be here. We're talking Buffy, mate. Come on.
Different to last week. We
Mm,
had a great time last week when we recorded together.
I, I sort of reach through the screen here. I can
Uh,
almost touch you, but
Can hold
yeah.
hands.
This is getting a bit gay already. We've only just started.
We got to hit our quota.
We do. We've got to
Just
please
getting off
both.
the release.
We've got to please every demographic.
I have had an influx of gay followers since
Oh.
podcast. So.
Since you started mentioning, having it off with David Boreanaz, yeah, I think that's just all your family, and
Yeah.
people that have said you were gay all these years. They're all now following you to find out what you're going to say next. Well, let's consider this podcast your coming out ceremony, the
So
entire run.
we've got shiny new Bite Me mugs.
We do.
Yeah. Maybe we should sell them.
Do you know what? They are pretty gorgeous as well.
Yeah.
Folks, look at our logo. If you want a Bite Me mug, get in touch.
Yeah. 100 quid.
The merch starts here. Actually, do you know what? That'll make a gorgeous T-shirt, don't you think?
It would do, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and underwear. Ooh.
We'll
Sorry.
do a
Oh,
calendar.
okay. Well, can I say to you, we have got a zinger of an episode to talk about this week. I think this might be the strongest episode since the pilot.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I'm not sure that should be the case because I think it's probably got the most absurd premise of the entire season. A bunch of school bullies get taken over by hyenas. But like, don't you think, in terms of taking the Buffy premise of something supernatural mirroring something that happens, during your childhood, this is the most explicit mirroring they've done so far.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it took me back to my high school days of being bullied instantly.
Oh, I've got a tale for you later. I thought maybe let's talk about the episode, but we'll both come back in for therapy later.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, it's slightly undercut by the fact that the bullies all look like they're 40. Some of them look like they could be parents.
Now, look, I'm going to say this to you, you've got to get over this, because as we go through Buffy, you're going to see a lot of 40 to 50-year-olds pretending to be teenagers. It cannot affect the entire run for you.
That's true. That's true.
They were very convincing, though, as both bullies and as hyenas. That's a weird thing to say.
Oh,
But
Nicholas Brendan's performance in this is incredible. It might be his strongest in series one.
if you'd have said to me before watching it, would Nicholas Brendan make a credible bully because he's usually the comic relief? I'd have said, no way, he's the buffoon of this show. He was really scary in this.
Yeah.
But I think the director knew how to lie him, how to shoot him, and he used those eyes of his in the most spectacular of ways.
Even like crafts his mouth in a different way. And it's menacing. I don't know who he worked with on that or if that was all just something he instinctively did. But yeah, he's definitely menacing.
Maybe he was bullied himself. He's like, right, now it's my chance.
So this episode was written by Matt Klein and Joe Ryan-Kamir, I think is his name, and directed by Bruce Seth Green, no relation to Seth Green.
Bruce Seth Green, right, goes on to direct Angel, Dawson's Creek, Gilmore Girls, Law and Order. He did Highlander, Babylon 5. He is, again, it's another sort of genre television staple. The direction of this was great, Martin. I really thought this was well put together. You remember we talked about in Never Kill a Boy on the First Date about how some of the action sequences were a bit laboured and a bit padded, and they weren't sort of hitting their mark. All the set pieces in this I thought were great. I think this might have been the scariest one so far. And tell me if I'm way off base when I say this. It's that thing about, and it's something as an adult now, this really scares me. The thought of like a pack of kids that have no respect for authority whatsoever and will just go and cause fucking chaos and hurt people, you know? There's something really chilling about that, and they play into it. I won't spoil the big twist this early in the episode, but they play into it brilliantly in that scene where Flutie is trying to get them to, apologize for their actions, and he's basically pointing out all the things they've done wrong, and they just don't care, do they?
It hit me differently now because I've got an 11-year-old daughter that has just started high school. So
Mm.
yeah, I've got those concerns about bullying and stuff like that already going on in my head. And then seeing something like this and just those kids that, we see them in real life. Just
But
these kids that just don't give a fuck.
that's the thing, like, vampires, praying mantises, you're not going to see those things in real life, are you? This is tapping into something that's genuinely scary and a bit primal. In my shop, we get packs of kids coming in all the time. I'm calling them packs now, like they're hyenas. Groups of kids coming in all the time, and they sort of feed off each other, and one's being naughty, so the other one's trying to be a bit worse, and then they get louder, and then they're shoving things over, and then they're smashing things. And I've seen it happen. But this is that sort of idea taken to an extreme where they are hurting people and where they are murdering people. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean the whole hyena thing is fascinating, and I've had a fear of hyenas since The Lion King when I first
Go on.
not in any kind of way like I've had nightmares or anything, but just these animals that laugh. And I don't know if it's true that they can mimic human speech. I didn't look into that, but that's terrifying if they can.
So clever as well, because something that bullies do is they just take the piss out of people, and they usually do it by laughing at them. And so just having them laugh at people, it works because they're pretending to be hyenas, but it works anyway because I've seen kids at school do this sort of thing. I don't know, where someone's trying to read out a school paper or something like that, and they're all just laughing their heads off at them to make them feel uncomfortable. It tapped into something. This episode really tapped into something that frightens me, and I think it took me back to school. I was bullied quite badly at school. Certainly in my second to last year and my last year, I had 6 months out because things got really, really bad. And so the sequences, when they're doing the dodgeball and things like that, and they all turn on that poor kid and start. I experienced stuff like that. I think Buffy is looking to tap into some of this stuff with its audience to really make you feel. This episode made me feel a lot. I watched it at 5 o'clock this morning. I was sitting there with a cushion up going, oh God, I'm like back at school again, being bullied by all the
Uh,
kids. It was really effective.
yeah, it's so realistic, especially when Willow gets cut down
Oh,
by Xander. My heart broke for her because she's our Willow. We know who she is, and especially seeing the man she loves turn on her like that.
what is it he says to her? Oh, I'm not going to take Trig anymore, so I don't have to look at your pasty face again. Uh, do you not think this episode dealt with the Buffy, Willow, Xander triangle the best as well so far? It made all those sort of feelings they've all got really raw. And Xander, even she doesn't realize because he's been taken over by a hyena. I'm not going to stop saying that because it's the only time I can in this episode. But he is telling her, "I really fancy you. I really want you." To a point where he shoves her up against a wall. Did you see that bit?
Yeah, even Buffy says it herself. He borderline committed a sexual assault.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
that is strong
oh,
stuff.
season one.
When was this going out? What time was this going out?
In America, I think it was like 8 p.m.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's
Yeah.
sort of like borderline watershed.
So yeah, Sky One used to air it at 8, but I know BBC Two put it out at about 6. But there would be edits.
Right.
Maybe some
Yeah.
bits of this episode weren't in there.
And a lot of this is sort of implied rather than explicit. We get an explicit rape scene later on Buffy. I'm almost willing to believe BBC Two took that out altogether, or Sky One, or whoever was showing it.
It went on Sky because I watched it on Sky.
Was it heavily edited?
No, 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 no.
Wow. What, 6 o'clock in the
No,
evening?
Sky put it on at 8.
Oh, okay.
Buffy was
Okay.
always on
Fair
at
enough.
8, and then Angel was on at 9 on a Friday night.
But you're right, though. Jeez, Willow, she tugs on my heart, man.
And what about poor Principal Fruity?
Okay, let's have a moment for Principal Fruity here, because I feel as if they made him deliberately adorable in this episode. You know, when he's going around with the pig and he's going, he's
Yeah.
not a pig, he's a fierce razorback. And I was like, oh, I love you so much. I'd forgotten this was the one where he died. So
Oh,
when that scene hit, I was like, oh no, this is the moment. I'm not ready for it. I tell me if I'm way off base. I think that might be the defining moment of series one, because it dares to take a really stupid premise and play it for real in a very scary way. And it took a character that you and I both love. So I'm willing to bet, we're a good sort of couple of demographics. I'm willing to bet we are a fair opinion of the audience. Take a character that's well liked and kill him just to keep the audience on its toes.
oh, it's genius, genius. And Joss Whedon also said that this was the episode that made them realize the audience cared more when one of the regulars was in jeopardy.
Right. Well, we talked about that last
Yeah,
week, didn't
we did.
we? Was it on Never Kill a Boy on the First Date?
On the
Where
witch.
Oh, as well, yeah, yeah. We were like, what? Why do we care when we don't know these people? You know? Yeah. Oh, just the what's the actor's name who plays Principal Fruity?
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up, Joe.
I feel so bad taking the piss out of his name when we're talking about his death scene. So just for once, I'm going to say Principal Fruity.
I almost typed in Principal Fruity. Let's have a look. He's played by Ken Lanier.
Ken Lanier, I salute you, because what he did was create a sitcom character within Buffy. He's a bit of a joke, and then in his last scene, all of that comedy drops, and he panics. And he's really properly scared, and I just sort of sat up. I remember the first time I watched this. You know when they scratch his face and he's basically screaming, "Get down from the desk, do as you're told." I think that might be the scariest moment in the first season.
Oh, yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And then there's that moment when he thinks they're agreeing with him because they pass him the phone. And he's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And he has that brief moment where he thinks it's over.
And then she pulls the phone away, doesn't she? And then the very clever direction where the camera just swings round onto the photograph of him looking really happy as they're literally tearing him apart. Ooh. Well, can I ask you a question then, please?
Yeah.
About this is going to involve spoilers, so anyone who doesn't want to hear spoilers, maybe skip ahead the next couple of minutes. How do you feel about a television show murdering off characters before their time? Because I think he had more to offer.
Yeah, but also it showed that nobody's really safe. So
Yeah.
you can get a character that you really like, and they're not necessarily safe. And I think that's what Buffy did really well. Angel as well would do this, but it starts in Buffy. And yeah, I just think it's a great way to just make the audience feel ill at ease.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be bold enough to suggest the times when people leave, but I won't say the character's name because I've already had one person come at me saying I'm dropping too many spoilers. This show's been out for 20 bloody years, all right? You should have watched it by now. Because they killed off Jesse in episode one, and I'll say that because we've already talked about that. They kill off a character here. They then kill off a character sort of two-thirds into series two. Then they kill off another character at the end of series two. Then they kill another character off at the middle of series five. Then another one at the end of series five, and then another one towards the end of series six. They never ever let you get comfortable with this cast, I don't think.
Yeah. No, that's what makes it a real roller coaster of a ride to watch this. And I remember really liking Principal Flutie. Did I say it right? Yeah, I said it right. Hey.
Well done.
Okay, yeah.
Congratulations.
I remember just really liking him and thinking he was going to be like the comic relief principal throughout the whole series. So yeah, the rug was really pulled from under us, and we get a great replacement. And what
Oh,
they do,
I
do the
think
great,
better. I think Armin Shimmerman's Principal Snyder is one of the best characters in Buffy. I mean, he's just horrible.
and they do the perfect thing that you have to do in a TV series is when you replace a character, you have to go the complete opposite. So, like in Cheers, when they replace Coach with Woody, complete opposite characters. Same in Cheers again, where they replace Diane with Kirstie Alley. They're completely opposite characters. That's what you need to do to have a successful character replacement.
When Jadzia Dax left Deep Space Nine, she was very confident, wasn't she? All woman,
Mm.
and then they brought in Esri Dax, who was this shy, mousy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a total contrast. Yeah, and I think it's what they do every time the Doctor regenerates, isn't it? Pretty much.
yeah.
Go for like a big contrast. Like though, is had they had Snyder and Principal Fruit, I can't say it now, Flutie in it together. Like if it had been headmaster and deputy headmaster, and one's an arsehole and one's really nice, you know?
yeah, yeah.
That might have been a nice contrast, but full marks for that death scene. That is very, very scary.
It sticks with you.
Yeah, and do you know what's great about it is it ain't even the scariest death in Buffy. There's almost all the ones to come are scarier than this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Geography of Sunnydale Watch. We've now got a zoo
A
in
zoo.
Sunnydale. So we've got a water reclamation plant, a zoo, a graveyard. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger by the episodes.
Oh, what I keep meaning to check on, like something like Etsy, is if someone's drawn like the town plans of Sunnydale. That might be a good thing to get our hands on.
They did it towards the end of series 7 with everything in there, and it's a fucking massive map. I say, oh,
Got the airport.
oh yeah, it's got an airport.
Yeah.
I've forgotten that.
It's not an
Uni,
international airport.
yeah.
Everyone says it's an international airport, but Giles flies from Sunnydale to LA.
And I swear Cordelia said in one of the episodes we've already seen, there's not a whole lot of town. The good side of town's quite near to the bad side of town because we haven't got a lot of town here.
And there's one Starbucks.
One Starbucks. Well, I mean, it would be, wouldn't they? This
Yeah.
is America after all. What did you think of the direction of this then?
I thought it was good. I noticed something I hadn't realized before.
Go on.
All the scenes in the bronze, they're the same extras from the last episode.
Oh yeah, there were there.
Yeah, it's a reused shot. They must have shot them both back to back on the same day.
They've just got one payment for the season. They've got to keep coming back.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
Let's keep an eye out, actually, going for the right people. I always notice in the school halls, there's some very forgetful students in Buffy because they go up and down the stairs or back and forth to the lockers over and over again in the scene to try and make it look busy. But that's
Like we get the who guy. He's there talking about a band, and clearly he knows Xander and he likes him.
Oh, talking of a band, hang on a minute. I think I've got the detail here in Slayer by Keith Topping. The bit where Xander's walking around the campus in slow motion and there's a proper like rock tune playing. Hang on a minute. Excuse me while I just look into my tone. You're going to have to edit out the silence here.
And we know it's cool because it's in slow motion.
It's brilliant, but the song was excellent. Okay, so there's 3 songs in this episode. You've got Sprung Monkey's Reluctant Man, Dashboard Profits All You Want, and Far's Job Eyes. It's one of those.
Those are 90s band's name right there.
Keith Topping says the incidental music is some of the best of the season. And do you know what? I've got to agree with him. I thought the music was great in this as well. Like, in terms of a production, this was the most impressed I've been since The Harvest.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The action's all good. I like the twist with the zookeeper.
Well, I'm going to... Oh, yeah, sorry. Hang on. Let me address that. Edit me being a Wally out there. Do you not think that was really well seeded? The way he was in that first scene in the zoo?
Yeah.
And just going, oh, we've just had some new hyenas in and all this. And then at the end, when he's there with Giles and they're getting all excited and he's got the makeup putting on his face. And then it's not until the sort of the middle of the climax that you realise he's the one that's responsible for this all along.
I also love this is where Giles gets knocked out for the third time this series, this episode, and that becomes a recurring theme.
Doesn't it become a joke?
Yeah,
Not again, you know.
he gets angry with it eventually.
Mine, didn't you hear his line where he went, testosterone is the great equalizer. It turns all men into morons.
It's true. It does.
I can attest to this, yeah. Every decision I've made in my life that's been poor has been due to an overdose of testosterone.
Yeah, same. Same. Every questionable Tinder swipe. Yeah.
It sounds like is there a dating episode of Buffy? Or it sounds like we've got some stories to come.
Well, yeah, you got iRobot You, Jane.
Talking of Giles, though, don't you think in a very savvy move, he doesn't appear in the first half of the episode? So I think when Giles is about, you've got a figure, sort of an authority figure there, who makes it feel a bit safer. And you don't, but he's not around in the first half of the episode. So those Xander's going around treating people terribly and those bullies. And it kind of felt more tense for it. The second Giles turned up, I relaxed a little bit. And then they murdered the principal. They're playing me like a fine instrument, Martyn.
I love Willow's reaction where she just kind of slumps down in her seat and she's like, they ate him up. And
Willow,
yeah, it's just so good.
Willow's going to have some great reactions to some deaths, you know. Do you remember, without saying who it is, of course, do you remember the one where she's on the phone and she takes the call about the character dying and it's all done from the killer's point of view looking through the window?
Oh, so good.
It's great. Buffy is a great show, and we are, you know, well, we knew it already, but now we're talking about it in some depth. Well, come on, then. What else have you got for me?
So, this is the first episode this series not to feature Cordelia.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Wow, she's in most of them though, right? In the first.
Yeah, she's in most of them, and she's in the opening credits because she's a regular. But yeah, she's just not in this episode.
Might have been interesting to have had her in this, and Xander being sort of sexually confident with her.
Yeah, I mean, I did look up some hyena stuff, and it's the female that are the leaders of the packs in hyenas.
Oh.
So they got that wrong. But I guess these are monster hyenas. They're not like proper.
Jesus, imagine if it had been Willow instead of Xander.
Oh, that might have been cool, actually.
And she would have been hot as hell. Well, looking ahead to the future again, when Willow does take a slight detour into the dark side, it is hot as hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with the black hair.
Okay, what else have I got here for you? I thought the sequence where Willow was alone in the library when the pack attacked, that was really well directed as well. You've got Xander trying to sort of convince her to open the cage that he's trapped in. What is that cage? Is that where you return books?
I think that's where he keeps the most expensive books. I think that's what it's meant to be.
It turns out in the first 3 years to be just where they lock up anyone they don't want to get. I think Angel ends up in there at one point. I think even Buffy ends up in it, doesn't she? In the one where everyone wants to fuck Xander.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all psycho. Anyway, she's there on the computer, sort of researching hyenas and things, and then suddenly you just see these hands coming up at the window, and they're going, "Willow," and suddenly, bang! The window smash.
It reminded me of that film Salem's Lot, you know, the Stephen King.
Why? What happens in that?
Just this little kid turns up at the window scratching it, and he's now a vampire, and he's like scratching at his brother's window, and it's so creepy. And I wouldn't mind betting that this was an influence on that.
But having a young female victim alone at night being attacked by a group of people, I mean, that's just standard horror, isn't it? But done really, really well here. There was a few moments in this episode where I was like, it is a crazy premise, but tonally, this is as close to the mark as we've got so far.
Yeah, this I would recommend this to someone who's just thought, Buffy, what's that? I would recommend this as a good gateway episode into the world and the lore and what Buffy is.
It's funny you should say that, because when I first watched Buffy, I think this was the one that really made me sit up. I remember loving this when it first came out. And I don't know how old I would have been, but not long out of school. So the sort of experience with bullies myself would have still been very raw for me.
Mm.
And I just think it really captured that fear of bullies extremely well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can I ask you then? You know where this is going, but where would you imagine? So when you first watched this, where did you think the Buffy, Xander, and Willow triangle was going then? Because it really is in the air in this.
Yeah, I didn't think. Well, it's difficult for me because when I first watched it, I'd already seen series two first. So I knew that Buffy ends up with Angel, and
Oh, of course you
I
did.
think Xander's
Yeah.
with someone else in series two. I can't remember, or that might be series three. So I knew that that didn't work.
Martin, surely you remember who Xander's with in series two.
I can't remember if it's two or three that they get together.
It's two.
Two. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they start sort of snogging and having it off in cupboards and things like that in series two. By the end of the season, it is that episode where they've all fallen under Zartan's spell. Someone's cast a spell, so
That's
every woman in Sunnydale wants to fuck him. And the girl who won't admit to her friends that she's having it off with Xander finally has to step up and say, "No, he's mine. Back off," to all of them.
that's right. Yeah, it's series two. Yeah.
In fact, oh please, I know it's way ahead, but can I just say the line that she says to Joyce? And keep your what is it? And keep your mom-sized paws off my boyfriend. Period. I
That's-
think that's a big clue as to who it is now.
Joe, I thought a fun idea would be for us to look at undeveloped Buffy spin-offs that have
Okay.
been proposed over the years. So I guess the first one, the one that Joss Whedon was really passionate about, that actually got money to develop test footage for, was Buffy the Animated Series.
Of which you sent me footage of this week to have a look at.
Yeah, it was going to be made by Fox Kids, and it was set during series one. And Dawn was going to be 10, Buffy was going to be 16, Angel was there. And it was basically the whole season one, but it was going to be stories we didn't see in season one.
So was this mooted after the series had ended?
Yeah, or towards the end.
Right.
So
So what you showed me there, was that just like a test reel of
yeah, that's what they put together to as like a sizzle reel to show people what the series could be.
Well, I'll tell you what, and it was only like 3 minutes long, wasn't it? That captured the sort of the lightness of series one perfectly. I was watching it going, I really can't tell the difference tonally between this and what I'm watching at the moment. So I think they got it spot on.
Yeah, it's very, very well done. And it stars Giselle Loren as Buffy.
I
And
could I could tell it wasn't Geller.
yeah, but she is Sarah Michelle Gellar's approved choice for like all the expanded media.
It wasn't so different though, was it?
No, she's good. In the game Chaos Bleeds, she plays Buffy and she's phenomenal.
And I just think as a cartoon, they could have just gone to town, couldn't they, with the monsters, the set pieces and things like that. So I, I think it would have been a pretty savvy route for the show to take.
Yeah, and we also get a dragon in there.
Yeah, it
We
was
were never going to
amazing.
get a TV series.
But what was really great was as I was watching the sort of the animated Scooby Gang, like Xander's all sort of fidgety and a bit energetic like he is on TV. Willow was very still. Like I was like, they captured their characteristics beautifully.
Oh, excellently. Yeah, excellently. And it was good to be back in the library set.
Why didn't it happen then?
Just nobody wanted to make it. They couldn't get funding.
What is wrong with these people? I think people will be biting their hands off for a Buffy animated series now.
Yeah, I mean, if it was to be announced that Disney were working on it, I think people would be excited.
Hmm.
And my hope is that with this Spike series we've got coming up in Audible, that it's a huge success and it sparks interest back in this franchise.
I thought you were going to say to me that there was a the Pack spin-off considered, given you chose this episode to bring it up in. I was like, how the hell were they going to make a series about this bunch? Well, did you not think it was a bit weird, right? How this pack of hyenas stroke bullies who have eaten the principal then just go off at the end of the episode, and there's no punishment whatsoever.
Well, yeah, I guess nobody saw them do it, and I guess, like they said, the theory was a pack of wild dogs got into him. So you would just think, yeah, some wild animal came in and this was terrible. But imagine those kids living with that.
Well, there's a very savvy point made in the last scene where Giles says to Sandra, "No, I don't remember anything about the subjects of hyena possession losing their memory," because he's trying to pretend to Buffy that he doesn't remember shoving her up against the wall and threatening to sexually assault her. Um, so yeah, so they've got to live for the rest of their lives with the knowledge that they ate this poor principal and the pig as well, a live pig.
The pig, I think I could get over
Oh,
if I
he's
did
so
it.
cute. What
I'm
is
not
wrong
saying
with
it'd be
you?
easy, but I had bacon this morning, so I can compartmentalize that. But yeah, getting
Right.
over eating a human would be harder.
Next time you visit, I'm putting a live pig in front of you then, all right? Let's see how you do. Was Angel in this episode?
It wasn't
No, I didn't think he was.
mentioned.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she goes, doesn't she? She gets all the feels or something like that whenever she's around. She's trying to be very casual with Willow and say she hasn't really felt the tingles for a while. And then Willow goes, "Really? What about that hottie I see you with all the time, hanging out in the entrance of the Bronze?"
And she's wearing his jacket.
Oh, I didn't notice that she's still wearing the jacket. Yeah.
Yeah. Another spin-off that was bandied around was Faith the Vampire Slayer. And it would have been like, the 70s Kung Fu series where he's traveling around town to town, kind of like the 70s Incredible Hulk. It was going to be like that. She
Okay.
was on the run with a motorbike and it was going to be her going town to town. But Elijah Dushku declined doing it to make True Calling.
Yeah, that wasn't great, was it? I mean, I think True Calling only lasted a season.
It did, yeah.
The trouble was it had a premise that just it didn't lend itself to telling different types of story. You could just tell one type of story and then try
Yeah.
and do interesting things with it. She should have done the Faith series.
Yeah, elements of this were then incorporated into the Buffy comics, like the
So what
season 9.
would she have chipped out of Buffy in series 3 and then gone straight into that series?
Well, no, because she's in Angel quite a bit.
Well,
She
and then
popped up.
she comes back in Buffy in 7, doesn't she?
Yeah, when Willow goes to get her,
Yeah.
she goes to get her from Angel.
And what did they say what the tone of that series would have been like?
They just said it would have been like Kung Fu, so that David Carradine kind of Kung Fu show where he's just going town to town.
You're just reminding me of Highway to Heaven starring Michael Landon. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
My mum loved that, where he walked from town to town and there'd be some drama to sort out and then go off. It's a bit Quantum Leapy, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think this could have worked. I think
I
you could totally
do,
do it.
but she would have needed a very likable cast of people around her because Faith's quite an edgy character.
Oh, she would have had to travel with a sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need someone there. I don't think you could just have Faith traveling around on her own with a new cast of characters every week.
But Jesus Christ, Elijah Duskew's got charisma
Oh,
in
yeah, yeah.
bucket loads. So she absolutely could have fronted that series. And if it would have been sort of Joss Whedon written,
Yeah.
well, I would imagine that would have flown. I
Yeah.
think that probably could have been as successful as Angel.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Another one that was bandied around, but it didn't. This seems to be like they just had a meeting and they were like, right, there's no bad ideas. And somebody picked Slayer School. And that was set after Series 7. It was going to be all the potentials learning to be Slayers.
What was it you were just saying about no bad ideas? That is a terrible idea.
Yeah, it didn't get beyond that meeting.
Oh, imagine you'd have that awful Molly. Oh no, she dies. Oh, spoilers. Kennedy, your favorite. Who else? Who else was in the potentials?
Felicia Day. I can't remember her character's name.
What was the black chick's name?
Amanda?
She gets no, Amanda's the sort of really tall, skinny one
Oh, yeah.
in the episode where Dawn thinks she's
Yes,
the
yeah,
potential,
yeah.
and it's actually Amanda. Now there was a girl as well who had her arm snapped by Caleb in one episode, and she's sort of going around with. Well, anyway, it would have been an annoying bunch like they were. No, I'm very pleased that didn't come to pass.
And yeah, then you remember when DVDs were big and like
What do you mean?
Guy
What do
got
you mean?
cancelled, and then like a DVD came out, and it did so well that it came back. There was plans for like a Buffy verse DVD range, and Spike was going to get a movie.
Oh
It was going to be
wow.
Spike and Illyria, but it just didn't happen. The closest we actually got to a spin-off that actually got budgeted and costed and stuff like that is Ripper.
Yeah, which we have alluded to several times. That was supposed to be quite an adult show, wasn't it? It was going to be a lot darker.
Yeah, it was going to be basically ghost stories.
Oh,
And
that'd be great.
it was going to star Anthony Stewart Head, and his two daughters were going to play his aunts, the way
Oh wow.
witches.
That sounded a bit like Bewitched to me.
Bewitched, but a bit more edgy.
So there was a lot of sort of this in the run of Buffy. There was a lot of sort of ideas.
Yeah, and the Spike movie, I think it was going to feature Illyria. I don't know if you know that character.
Who's that?
That's someone who comes up in Angel later on.
No. Oh, hang on. That's not who Fred turns into, is it?
It is, yeah.
Jesus, I've dropped so many spoilers in this episode now. I think, you know what? I think we probably should just draw a line under this now, in that Buffy is a very old show and we will drop spoilers. What do
Yeah,
you think?
yeah, exactly. I mean, if we're talking about 60s Doctor Who or 60s Star Trek, we
Exactly.
expect people have watched it. So this nearly 30-year-old show, yeah.
It would be like not talking about an unearthly child in the mid 90s. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy. Sorry, Luke Malloy. It just means you've got to wait until you've done the entire run to listen to any episodes of this.
But I was just wondering, Joe, out of all the Buffyverse characters, if you could pick one character to give a spin-off to, who would it be?
Oh, what a great question. I think the obvious one is probably Giles because he's got the authority.
Yeah.
There's like the Watchers Council, so you could do some interesting things like that. But that's you want me to choose somebody who, actually, yeah, I've got one who would not be an obvious choice because she's not like got a ton of confidence, but maybe Tara.
Tara would be good. She's actually got a prequel book out at the minute.
And I might make it very magic heavy. I maybe sort of leaning towards more comedy than drama. Yeah, okay, I'm going down the Bewitched route again. I'm sorry. I'm not saying I'm going to give her a black cat and two crazy arms, but no, I think Emma Benson, one of the best actors they had in Buffy, and she writes as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's one of the head writers on this Spike audio series that's coming up.
So in my new spin-off series, Tara casts a spell. She's writing and directing. She's going to be like a creative force in the series as well. Coming in. What about you?
I think Oz.
Ooh, what when he goes off in his travels?
Yeah, either then or after, but you do it like the 70s Incredible Hulk show where he's trying to find the cure or he's traveling around the world. I know they bring it back in the comics and he's got a wife and stuff, but I think you could make a really good show with Oz or maybe even Willow. I know there's a comic where Willow's now grown up and she's got her own comic range and she's got a daughter that's got her own book range. I think you could do stuff like that.
I thought you were going to give Kennedy a spin-off then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My favorite character. Yeah, that's the Kennedy one.
Do you know who I would never give a spin-off to? Such a boring character. You're going to fight me on this. I know you are. And you're going to say, no, 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 you didn't watch the run. And he had some great episodes. Gunn from Angel. Jeez, he's boring.
He's got an interesting run in the comics. I remember reading the Angel Series 6 comics.
My only experience of him is on TV, though. And I can't remember a highlight or a great scene in an episode or anything. And the actor was boring as well. Yeah. I'll be interested to revisit him and see if there's something there.
No, I like Gunn. He evolves a lot over the series of Angel.
Oh no, do you know who we could give a spin-off to? Sorry, you've got me going now. I'm gonna keep going. The green fella from Angel who sings the songs. Every episode he can sing three
Oh,
songs. What's
yeah.
his name?
Lorne.
Lorne. Oh, gee, that's when Angel got really good. When he came along, Campus Christmas, singing a song in the most episodes. Oh, it was
Yeah.
great.
Sadly passed away now, though.
Well, the actor.
Yeah, he died like 15 years ago. He had a root canal or something, and he got an infection, and that infection caused him to have a heart attack.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, he was only like 29, 30.
Well, look, I'm not going to do the John Levine thing and say, well, he might be dead, but at least he appeared in ... What I will say is he was a very talented man, and we can still enjoy watching him at his best in Angel,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I think he might be my favorite character in Angel, you know.
Here's a bit of trivia for you. Tom Lenk auditioned to be him.
Really?
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, they had a rule on Buffy that if your face had been covered, if you played a demon, you could play two roles.
Okay.
They tried not to recast. I mean, they used Knox in Angel, and he had already played a character in Buffy. He's the boy in Conversations with Dead People, the Buffy's fighting. They liked him, so they brought him back. But they tried not to reuse the actors. But Tom Link plays a vampire in Buffy, and then he got an audition for Angel. But then they decided the guy who played Tucker, because you know Andrew's Tucker's brother, the guy who played Tucker was unavailable because he was working on another show. So they wrote in the character of Angel, and after he auditioned for Lorne, they said, "Oh, we've got this other character. We think you'd be perfect for in Buffy."
Well, I'll say this while we're talking about spin-off shows, because if you'd have told me that Andrew had the legs to even hold up a single episode of Buffy, I'd have told you were mad. Then Drew Goddard wrote The Storyteller in
Fantastic.
Series 7, and you've got enough potential there to give him a television show, because he is so funny in that episode.
You know what? He could do an audio series as well where he's recanting tales.
But can,
Paul, get on that.
is he gay in Buffy? Does he come out?
No, he doesn't. And in Angel, they keep it ambiguous.
God damn it, what is wrong with these people?
Well, I've got a friend called Jason, and his theory on Andrew is that Andrew's straight curious. He is gay, but he hears all his friends talking about sleeping with Buffy and wanting to sleep with Buffy, and he's like, might as well give it a go.
But Andrew never shows any interest in Buffy in the TV show. He's only interested in Xander.
Yeah.
Do you not remember? There's that wonderful scene. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, we're so away from the pack now, but who cares? That wonderful scene where he's got the camcorder in Storyteller, and you've got Kennedy and Willow, and they're getting off with each other on the sofa. And he comes in and goes, "Oh my God, look at this." And the camera goes past them, and he starts shooting the windowsill and goes, "Xander's work on this windowsill is absolutely amazing."
Oh, I've got a confession to make, actually. A girl sent me a nude once.
What?
And I went...
I have never had a nude sent to me ever.
There's someone on Tinder, and I was like, I've got to say, the tiling in your bathroom is incredible.
Did you say that?
I did.
Oh my, honestly. Every episode you drop a story, you know, where I just got my head in my hands.
Oh, she hadn't had that reaction before.
I've had a few nudes sent my way as well, you know. In my time, I've got to be honest, I'm never looking at the tiling.
I mean, I looked at the full image and enjoyed it, but then I noticed the tiling. I was like, I've got to know who did that.
But I think the conclusion, you know, we can draw from all of this spin-offery conversation is there was so much potential. Not the potentials. There was so much potential to take any one of these. Jenny Calendar, I think, could have had a spin-off show.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. Her going off, I don't know, to another country with her wickers behind her, or her gypsies. Was she a gypsy? Yeah, she was a gypsy, yeah. Yeah, so what it shows is all of these incidental characters on Buffy are so well characterized, so well performed, that they've all got legs for their own series.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's testament to just the creative vision of, I guess, Joss Whedon and everyone involved. Yeah, and like any of the regulars, I even think Xander could have held his own show.
Yeah, although the sort of the idea behind Xander is he is the side character, isn't it? And they do a couple of episodes. There's Eppo in series 3, and what's the one with when there's two Xanders in series 5?
I can't remember the name.
Quite close to the beginning of series 5, where the whole point is nobody's noticing him, you know. But Nicholas Brendan could have done it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he's out of prison at the moment, so I'm not sure he can at the moment.
I looked him up yesterday. His last Instagram post was in May, so it's possible that he's doing a bit of bird.
You just sparked something in me as well about you just said, you know, Joss Whedon. What I'm really intrigued to see as we go through this thing is not just focusing on the big episodes, because the pack isn't a biggie. It's a mid-season episode that just happens to be really fucking brilliant. It's looking at the creatives that aren't Joss Whedon, so the directors and the producers and the other writers, and just seeing who's doing solid. I know Marty Noxon does some brilliant work in sort of 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, and Jane S. Benson.
Oh, her scripts are just, I mean, she's a rival for Joss Whedon for the funniest scripts. But I wanted to quickly highlight Bruce Seth Green
Yeah.
again, because he goes on to direct a ton of Buffy episodes, and I'm going to name them now because they're only in series 1 and 2. He obviously then went on and got another job somewhere else. But he did teach his pet that we've already seen, The Pack, Nightmares towards the end of series 1, which is excellent. Some Assembly Required near the beginning of series 2. Halloween, which is a classic. A lot of people think that's one of
Oh,
the
it's
best.
brilliant.
The Dark Age, which is basically the pilot for Ripper. It's the
Yeah.
one where you find out about Giles's dark past. Ted, do you remember that one with the robot?
Yeah.
And then Phases, which is the first in the sort of Willow and Oz werewolf romance sort of thing. So he directed some really, really strong episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, he's a solid director, and I'm glad that he's gone on to continue working in TV. I guess he's the Tony Burrows of this world, and Tony Burrows did all the big sitcoms. So like he did Cheers, Frasier, Friends. Bruce Seth Green is the Tony Burrows of the Buffyverse.
Well, I'll say it again. I was really impressed with how this was executed. And I think beyond the pilot and the last episode, this probably is the best directed episode of the season. Oh no, Angel's coming up next.
That's next week, folks. I can't wait to talk about that episode.
Do you know what? I thought that was this week.
Yeah, I know. I remember leaving yours, and we are like, okay, yeah, Angel next week.
Do you know the only reason I didn't watch Angel rather than The Pack
Yeah.
was because you put up an Instagram post saying I'm watching this tonight in preparation for the next recording. I went, what? There's me preparing the DVD for Angel. I was like, initially I was disappointed, and then I watched this and I was like, this might be better. Like, this is great. I know you're not going to think that because you are a massive David Boreanaz stan.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I enjoy The Pack. I think, yeah, it's one of the strongest episodes in series 1.
Can I out The Pack then with a quote from Giles? And it's a quote I wish my mother had said to me when I came out as gay. Buffy, boys can be cruel. It's a lesson I've learned over and over again.
And we'll leave it there.